So you're probably wondering what I'm doing under a truck on a Sunday afternoon in Collierville. Well, this is an exercise for Community Emergency Response Training, or CERT, or CERT for short. I'm going to be playing a victim here pretty soon, and I'm going to be helping people learn what it's like to respond when there is an emergency, a disaster, a natural disaster or otherwise, and this is all part of the preparation training course that you can take to help get ready for disaster or an emergency. We'll have more coming up in just a little bit, so stay tuned.
You might be a professional chef, you might be a professional photographer, but if you don't have training in professional emergency management or emergency medical gear, then this is the course for you. Community Emergency Response Team Training lets you know what needs to be done before, during, and after an emergency. And these citizens came out to learn a little bit more about what they can do during those times at a special training session in Collierville, thanks to the Collierville EMA and Collierville Fire and Police Department. Being an Eagle Scout with the Emergency Management Badge, I'd been through several of these training sessions before, but this is the first time that my kids have ever had a chance to go and see one of these things and participate as one of the victims, and they had an excellent time out there. And now, back to me, under the truck. The idea is simple. A fake disaster has occurred, in this case a tornado strike at a local fire station, and the victims are laying around waiting for the volunteers, the people who are actually taking the course, to come rescue them. By instruction from the CERT trainers on site, I'm supposed to be unconscious until somebody finds me. Then I wake up and then I start behaving very oddly. I'm going to be wandering around trying to find my kids in a loud voice, but someone has to find me first.
It's been about 2 minutes since the exercise began, and so far I haven't heard anybody coming over here to help me, which is not good. If I was in trouble, I would be even more serious trouble because nobody's over here yet.
I wait, and I wait, and I wait for a few more minutes, shouting and trying to get somebody's attention to come over and find me while the rescuers wander and try to see what the most important thing is. Triage is important, but so is inspecting the scene, taking a look to see what's dangerous, what somebody might be walking into, and how many lives you can save, which is the sad part of the CERT training. That eventually you have to decide who lives and unfortunately who may not. You have to triage the living, who's going to be walking wounded, who cannot move with risk of injuring themselves, and unfortunately those who have already passed away. It's all a part of the community to take part in this and to get more information out about who can help and know what to do when disaster strikes.
Pretty quiet so far. About 3 minutes have passed and nothing yet.
Playing the victim this time around really does give you a good idea of what it's like to wait for help after a disaster, knowing there's more people out there that may need help than you, but also wanting to get help as soon as possible for yourself. The rescue has started out slowly. The exercise has just begun a couple of minutes ago, and under instruction of Lee Race, one of the trainers for CERT training for the Collierville area, I'm waiting for the volunteers to come find me, assess what has gone on, and do what they need to do to either mark me as a casualty or get me out of the situation and moved safely to a triage area. But as of right now, things have gone a little bit slowly as we continue again to see everyone run around and get a little bit more assessment done than actual action.
Need help! Someone help! This is the fun part of the exercise where we actually get to train and make it as worthwhile and lifelike as possible. We'll see how the responders actually respond here coming up in just a little bit, but in the meantime, it's about play acting and trying to make things as realistic as possible for the rescuers. Help! I think I'm doing pretty good so far.
But it would be a while before I got out from under that truck. Eventually, I would have more visitors, but it would take at least a few more minutes. Eventually, one of the teams comes over to find and catalog me, start asking me questions, but I'm going to be very difficult, not giving them any of the answers they could really use, and like a typical disaster, people are going to be scared and misdirected, so I'm going to be doing my best to try to give them a little bit less information than possible to see if they're going to be able to exercise their own ideas as to what needs to go on and follow policy and procedure without getting hurt themselves. It's difficult, it's grinding, and it does wear on your nerves, but the real disaster is going to be doing the exact same thing, and that's what these disaster simulations are all about and what people need to learn about more often.
I'm getting the hang of this. Alright, about 5 minutes have passed since the original exercise began, and as of right now, I've had 2 people come by try to catalog what I was doing and how I was feeling and how this truck was stuck on top of me, which you can see here is not very picturesque, but it could be a real situation at some point in time which you may have to deal with. If that's the case and you don't know what to do, this may be a great opportunity for you to think about signing up for a CERT training class. This is a great opportunity, again, to get your kids involved with first aid, disaster drills, communication, things of that nature, and especially safety. And it's great, again, a possibility for you to learn a little bit more about what's going to be needed of you should a disaster strike, and your resources possibly in your neighborhood or your business are very, very limited. So as of right now, going back to the action outside, a little, if anything, happening over in this direction. So as of right now, I don't know exactly when or if I'm going to be rescued, so this could be very much on a long wait, but we'll see what happens. I have to admit, it's not your typical Sunday afternoon, I'll give you that much, but it's for a good cause. Not everybody can lay on asphalt for several hours or minutes and hope to get things done and then get everybody trained on this, so this is a good opportunity to learn more. See what's happening out here. It doesn't really look like much this time. See a few people milling around, but so far nobody's coming over here to see what exactly is happening so far. We'll see how that goes.
Right back, okay? Austin, do you trust them to carry you?
I think so.
If you take pictures, we'll drop you.
If at any point you don't, you miraculously get your strength back.
Gotcha. Okay.
That was Lee Race you just saw there. She's in charge of the CERT program for Collierville, coming over to check and see how I'm doing with my play acting. She instructed me that once they find me, I'm supposed to get up and wander around and cause problems, something I'm apparently fairly good at times, but also instructed to go into the firehouse and try to see who stops me. Once they go away, I'm going to wander away and see what happens and see if anybody tries to stop me.
If you could roll over on that.
Alright, I need help under here.
After a disaster, it's chaos. Knowing what to do before that chaos can set in is one of the things that might save some lives in and around your community. And the practice that CERT gives you is invaluable to helping to keep the panic down and to save those lives. I do have to apologize here. This is where I was going to show footage of me wandering around, shouting, and just generally getting into trouble in the middle of a disaster scene. The people who were doing the work around the scene, taking a look and seeing what was going on, helped a lot, and they did get me to the triage area, but unfortunately my batteries ran out, so I wasn't able to show that sequence. Getting over there, I found a firefighter who had already been downed and been inspected, and other treatments going on as we went over to the area away from where the disaster had occurred. Eventually, more and more victims start coming in as the team started getting better organized and communication improves. More people are brought to the triage area and knowledge increases about what to do. It's really kind of a heartening scene to see people giving up a little bit of their weekend to study a little bit more about what they can do to help out in their communities, hoping this never happens. But why do people volunteer for stuff like this? Have you ever wondered?
Okay, so what's wrong with you?
Oh, I had a broken leg and I was wedged underneath the trailer.
Okay.
But they did a great job pulling me out and rescuing me.
Okay.
But my mother is still inside there and I can't find her. Where is my mother?
We're looking for Miss Ruth. We are looking for Miss
I hope she's okay.
I know. We're doing everything we can to find her. As soon as we can get her located, we'll let you know,
Please let
okay?
me know.
Okay, are you okay?
Yeah, my leg hurts though.
Yeah, we're going to get somebody here. You do need immediate attention for that. And how are you?
One of my daughter's best friends, Peyton, comes along for the ride to help out. I don't think she knew that she was going to be getting involved quite this much with almost very realistic wounds.
Bloody, okay, cool.
We were in the
All right.
hallway. I need a mark.
They're in the dark area.
We were in the dark. Me and Emma and the grandma.
Parents may not like to see kids involved in a disaster simulation like this, but it's important for kids to know what to do as well. This is not just training for adults. If this is a difficult thing to think about, it is. It's difficult to think about wandering around, taking information, and helping people who don't know what's going on. But imagine this happening during a real disaster.
Can I get your name?
Kelly.
Okay, Kelly, what's been your favorite part of this so far?
watching them try to find people.
Okay. All right. What's wrong with you at this point?
I hurt my arm. See, it was bleeding really badly.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Well, not cool, but yeah, that's it. Okay, is this your first time taking this course?
Actually,
I volunteer for today.
I took the course about a year ago.
Okay. Cool.
And so I was recruited to be a victim.
Okay.
A lot of people at the training session were not first-timers. There were a lot of first-timers there, but a lot of people came back around to refresh their knowledge of what to do and also to spread the word about what CERT training is and how people can get involved. My kids at this point in time were still in the wreckage. I was supposed to wander around and to cause more trouble, but eventually I waited around for a second after doing some of these interviews, and a rescue crew came over carrying my son Tristan, whose injury, fake injury mind you, was a severed foot, and he was in shock at the time. Blanket carried over to the triage center. He was set down with some pretty realistic looking wounds. Sort of a not so good feeling went through my stomach thinking about what would happen if this were the real thing. But that's exactly what this exercise is designed to take a look at. What can be done to help out, what can be improved, and how you can help your community when it is necessary. There's some hard choices to make when you take these sessions to learn about more about what you can do. It's important to know beforehand what to do as well. I've tried to teach my kids that it's important to have a knowledge of what to do beforehand. It's also important to have some fun while you're doing it, and I think he got into the spirit of it quite well.
But I can't feel my right foot.
So what's been the best part of the exercise so far?
I like getting carried around.
I've often said if my kids don't get an A in acting class, then I'm going to be severely disappointed in them. Eventually, the exercise, like all exercises, have to come to an end, and everybody has to go in and see what their final grades were on the report. So the disaster site is struck, and the participants of the class go back into the main hall to find out a little bit more about a breakdown or a post-mortem, so to speak, about how they did, where they can learn a little bit more about what happened. I took this course about 2 years ago, and I was very shocked to find out what I left behind and what I did not do properly. That's one of the things you're supposed to do, is learn properly here, so injuries like this hopefully won't happen.
Like you've had better days.
I'd like to thank my son Tristan, and especially my daughter Emma and her friend Peyton for performing in this little exercise for today as well, and doing a great job. It's a great class to take, and I highly enjoy it and recommend it for kids. This is something to really consider for parents whose kids are getting older and need experience and volunteer time. My daughter and her best friend Peyton get a chance to tell the class what they enjoyed about it, and they get to give a review as to what they thought were the best parts of it and how the rescuers actually did. The feedback from the victims helps to concert the effort to find out what went wrong and what could be done better. It's a very, very eye-opening experience, especially if you've never taken this course before. I'd like to thank Lee Race and the Collierville EMA Fire and Police Departments for putting this session together. There'll be more of them coming up over the course of the next several weeks and months. You'll be able to take them on weekends or varying schedules depending on need. If you'd like to know more about CERT, visit my Facebook page at facebook.com/AustinOnek, or type in the name of your town and CERT training, that's CERT training, to find out more about how you can get trained and to be better prepared before, during, and after an emergency. I'm meteorologist Austin Onek for News Channel 3.